Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wolf Watch, the last angel of history. My name is Oscar Eveling, Education Manager at the Wolfsonian Florida International University. I'd like to give a special welcome to those joining us as part of FIU's Parent and Family Virtual Engagement Week. We're thrilled to connect with you virtually here today. Tonight's program will delve closely into The Last Angel of History, a seminal work that continues to be understood in new ways today. The film foreshadows a period of rapid technological assimilation. But we must ask ourselves, with so much information at our fingertips, to what end is it employed? The film follows the journey of a lone traveler, the angel, who renounces his time in search for a key to his future, one encoded in a black musical technology. The work has been understood in terms of Afrofuturism, a cultural aesthetic, philosophy of science, and philosophy of history that explores the developing intersection of African diaspora culture with technology. It was coined by Mark Derry in 1993 and explored in the late 1990s through conversations led by Alondra Nelson. Our conversation will look to explore the multiplicity and challenges that such a neat structure in this theory presents, in a similar manner to the linear development ascribed from the blues into jazz. Tonight's guests will look to tease apart some of these multiple influences that we see represented in the film's multiple sequence and montage. As our conversation develops, we encourage you to submit your questions through the Q&A feature down below. And to those joining us through Facebook Live, we will also be monitoring the chat to bring your questions to our panel. And with that, I'm pleased to be joined today by Carter Jackson Brown and a real-life angel, Angel Bat Dawid. Carter Jackson Brown is a Miami-based artist, curator, educator, and founder of Ad Hoc Cinema, a spirited film and music presentation series, and Knight Foundation awarded after school arts program dedicated to exposing the greater Miami area to the world of global cinema. In addition to his dedication to the arts, Carter is a co-host and co-founder of Brainville, a creative jazz platform and radio program on WDNA 88.9 FM, with over 20 years of experience in community radio and events programming. Angel Bat Dawid is a Black American composer, improviser, clarinetist, pianist, and vocalist. In 2018, Angel composed Song of Solomon, a cosmic space opera that was performed by prominent free jazz musicians in Chicago. In the fall of 2019, she composed and premiered Requiem for Jazz, a 12-part requiem mass at the Hyde Park Jazz Festival. She also made her recording debut in 2019 on Chicago record label International Anthem. Her critically acclaimed album, The Oracle, was created entirely alone, only using her cell phone. Angel tours worldwide with her septet, The Brotherhood, and curates a monthly multidisciplinary series called Mothership 9 at Elastic Arts in Chicago. She also hosts a monthly music show on NTS Radio. And just to end, and following with the words of Sun Ra, music is a language, you see, a universal language. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to our guest tonight. Let me just pull up the screen now and the presentation, but let's see here. Carter, Angel, whenever you're ready.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Now, are we visible?
I think you're both time traveling.
Hi.
We made it here. We're just waiting for Carter.
Okay, there we are.
Yay.
Yes. Data thieves.
My glasses on. I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail.
Yes.
My data glasses. I know they're coming.
They are. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We will be subversing
Please.
the planet together very soon.
Hey, world. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone in the
Hello.
ethers of technology.
Welcome.
Angel, we've been talking a lot leading up to this discussion.
Yeah, it's been great.
It has been.
It's been really wonderful.
It has been wonderful. You and I clearly are kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's been a long time since I've, enjoyed just spanning time with someone like yourself, a worthy data thief.
Yeah, I'm
You,
still thinking about you.
you know, just the fact that this all kind of came together, you know, really, I'm really happy about, because you're definitely not the last angel. I hope not.
I know the title in of itself is just weird. You know, it's just so weird.
It is. It is. It's beautiful. I really appreciate you joining us and being a part of this. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little better, and I look forward to our, continuing our conversations. There's so much more for us to talk about, and we haven't even had a chance to actually, you know,
Kick it in real life.
yeah, but I will say that, just the connection that I feel when we talk, it feels like I've already embraced you.
Yeah, see, we
So
can
that's
feel
that's
human.
that's really what I want to talk about though first is, just kind of how the beautiful sort of, sort of synchronicity of how you came to see the film. And then, you get that conspicuous,
With so many.
text, from who is this? Who, yeah, so how did you first, when did you tell me about the experience of how you came to seeing The Last Angel of History?
I came to see The Last Angel of History at a very significant time in my life. I had just quit my job and I decided to be a musician full time. So it was a very scary leap of faith. And there was a great series here in Chicago by the Astor Gates. He put on these black cinema houses and I saw it. And they were showing this film, The Last Angel of History. And it blew my mind. It really blew my mind. And I met people there who I'm still friends with. And we're all still doing art. And it just kind of, when he said a data thief, it kind of just helped me realize what I'd been doing and a bunch of us in the community had been doing. So it's pretty significant. And then, 6 years later, I'm in full data thief mode and I forgot about the movie. I forgot how significant it was. And then, hey, Angel, you want to talk about him? I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely want to talk about this movie. I definitely want to talk about this movie.
Yeah, I was so glad that you
Yeah.
responded. I did, that's the beauty of the technology that we're able to access. I remember when, sort of when Facebook kind of hit, and it allowed for sort of like this backdoor entrance to artists that you otherwise would have to, reach out to their publicist, send many emails hoping to get a response. But when things like Facebook came along, and I was able to say immediately contact Carrie Mae Weems, or I'd get a response.
Yeah.
It was things like that, or R2 Lindsay, or anyone that I felt like, I wonder if if they would respond, and just to have that direct contact really open up this new portal, that there was no longer this, the middle passage, if you will, for the lack of a better description. But I think it's very, very
Very
poignant,
appropriate.
very appropriate. Um,
Very well.
yes, and
Well said.
but it was really, so it was, now in this day and age, it's just commonplace to feel connected to artists, creatives of all kinds. There's this new platform, this new web, this new, frequency that we're all able to, just tap into instantaneously, and have multiple conversations going on at the same time. I think that what we're of course also seeing is this, as a result of all that information being absorbed, we're losing other faculties, right? The smartphone has, quietly made us not so, a little, dare I say,
On our human faculties.
yeah, I can't hear you too.
Can you hear?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it has really, done wonders for this sort of like real-time connection, and those are the positive aspects of the technology that we are utilizing. Of course, there are the darker elements of technology, in terms of, in the film, one of the guests in the film. The film has just a great, a really wonderful cast of luminaries, theorists, artists.
Philosophers and thinkers, most definitely.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you know what? Let's watch the clip of the trailer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think
everybody can get a little bit of context what we're talking about.
Just a little bit, so I won't go too far. It's likely that there are a good amount of folks that haven't seen the film, but I hope after this.
It's on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing.
It's on YouTube. It is ready.
So there's no excuse. You need to watch it.
Right. That's right. It's only 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's very quick. It's very quick. And you can enjoy your coffee.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and take it all in. But Oscar, let's watch the trailer. And really, it's not so much a traditional trailer. It is, and what you get a lot of times on YouTube, if there was not an official trailer to be found, someone will make kind of it's sort of a clip of the first of the opening sequence of the film, really. So let's play that, and then we'll continue.
We came across the story of a blues man from the 1930s, a guy called Robert Johnson. Now, the story goes that Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads in the Deep South. He sold his soul, and in return, he was given the secret of a black technology, a black secret technology that we know to be now as the blues. The blues begat jazz, the blues begat soul, the blues begat hip-hop, the blues begat R&B. Now, flash forward 200 years into the future. Next figure, another hoodlum, another bad boy scavenger poet figure. He's called a data thief. 200 years into the future, the data thief is told a story. If you can find the crossroads, a crossroads, this crossroads, if you can make an archaeological dig into this crossroads, you'll find fragments, techno-fossils, and if you can put those elements, those fragments together, you'll find the code. Crack that code, and you'll have the keys to your future. You've got one clue, and it's a phrase: Mothership Connection.
The Mothership Connection, it's kind of George Clinton's obvious, it's his 1974 album in which you have an alien, you have George Clinton who's like an alien in kind of silver foil, and he's kind of getting out of a spaceship. You can't work out whether he's getting out of the spaceship or getting back into the spaceship.
By this time, black itself had become commercial. It was hip to be black, into the music, the dance bands of James Brown and all of that. So, and hip-hop, rock and roll had just like faded out, in '69. So it was time to make a change.
Greg Tate is the writer who argues.
Let's just stop it right there.
In America, certainly.
Yeah, and that's just kind of, it just goes right. It's like basically, it's not really a traditional trailer. Just jumps right in. I think that's fine because really there's this ongoing sort of like, portal jumping, and that the guy that's in that's narrating, that's Edward George. He was one of the members of the Black Audio Film Collective. He was also the screenwriter and researcher for this film. And I think he did a fantastic job bringing all these interesting people together.
Yeah.
And really, you know, at the time, you know, considering the time when this film came out in the early 90s, you know, this was before the advent of like real sort of like internet usage.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this, you know, of course, coming out of the, you know, as you know, if you were growing up in the 70s, 80s, or particularly the 80s, you know, and you know, Prince's 1999 was this futuristic, you know, song that, you know, this anthem. Everyone was thinking about the year 2000. You know, what's you know, 2000 party over, oops, out of time. You know, Sunrod song. You know, don't you know it's the end of the world yet? You know, there's all these you know, sort of you know, these really fascinating, this sort of like collective consciousness of this declaration of the end, you know. And I think that really came primarily from the Black experience. You know, in the film itself, there's, you know, they discuss how in science fiction, you know, there's this idea of, you know, alien abduction, you know, you know, being abducted, being, you know, taken from your planet and being probed and examined, and then, you know, sort of thrown back into, you know, you know, into your and these things, you know, these things have been recorded that, you know, a lot of people are, you know, either believe it or not that, you know, abduction occurs. But in terms of the Black experience for African Americans, that abduction is real.
Yeah, it wasn't just fantasy or fiction. It's
Right.
life. It's science life, like for real. You map out the experience of Black people, it's real life. You know, being abducted and probed and shifted here and there and not given any identity. I mean, all of that. You know, it's all of it. And
It's
it's funny how too we have to be in a place where we have to define ourselves in it. You know, like we have to, you know, they have to have something, a reference of like Black fiction. How come it just can't be, you know, fiction? Nah, we gotta have we're put in a position where we have to make our own space because we're not included. You know, we're not included in the narrative, you know, which is
right.
something they talk about later in the film about how we're always kind of like, I forget one of the speakers in the film. He was like, well, where do I go back to? Do I go back to Ireland? Do I
Yeah.
go back to
Ishmael Reed.
do I go to Tennessee with my, you know, Cherokee? Or do I go back to Africa? Where do I go?
Exactly.
You know, where, and it's interesting too when they show in the beginning of the film, George Clinton. See, George Clinton Funkadelic is really significant to me too because my father adores them. So like my entire life, I've always just been indoctrinated with, you know, Funkadelic. And I remember that cover with him going in the ship and coming out, and they reference it, you know, in the film how you don't know if it's coming in or coming out. And I think like one of the challenges that I feel like is being a Black artist in this world is I feel like we're always trying to get in.
Right.
And I don't think that we're supposed to be trying to get in. I think we're supposed to be trying to get out.
You know, that takes me back to Prince yet again, you know,
out of here.
You know, Prince and Raspberry Beret, she said she walked in through the outdoor. That metaphor itself suggests
jazz out,
you know, a reversal of fortune.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like where are we in this world, in this experience?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we you know, and I sort of, you know, theorize this in my own mind, you know, is that, you know, when we're looking up, you know, in the context of, in the construct of space, are we really looking down? We don't know, right?
It's not connected in that linear way, which is
right.
what I think all the artists that are mentioned in this film definitely experiment with that. They're trying to experiment with something else. You know, they don't want to do things. You know, like George Clinton and them, they got that song "Doing My Own Thing." He walking up there with his hair cut all crazy. They like I've seen this video, and I'm like, they're doing their own thing, which is I think one of the reasons that people don't like Black people, because we all do our own thing. Angel does her own thing. Carter Jackson does his own thing. We do our own thing, and it you can't really replicate my thing. You can't put it in a box and try to sell it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like we're constantly trying to, I think like this film brings to light, we're constantly trying to do our own thing, no matter what circumstances we're in. He's talking about being a data thief. And so like having to think outside of linear, like just because you into this don't mean you into that.
Right.
You know, just because you know about this don't mean that it makes this something else. You know, looking at it like pieces of a puzzle. And that's really the kind of work that I do. I'm trying to explore like the movie's significance, because it helped me look at it more like an archaeologist of sound, of Black sound, you know, of Black film and sound. But you know, the history that you told me about, you know, this was a collective of people who've come together with these philosophies to make these films. What are they called again? The Black
Audio Collective.
Black Audio Collective.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they didn't include film in that, or did they? I don't think so. I think it's just Black Audio Collective.
Collective, yeah. So do they? Yeah, I mean, because I think
no, I'm sorry, they do. I'm sorry, that's
audio
Black
film.
Audio Film Collective.
Yeah. Because it's like, you know, both of those go hand in hand. That's why Sun Ra has a movie. You know, that's why, you know, George Clinton and them had that cosmic slop thing, or visuals, like they have to come together. They have to.
And these, you know, in the film you discover that they were unaware of one another. George Clinton had not ever heard of Lee Scratch Perry, who also incorporated that that ideology. Sun Ra, you know, who obviously is considered, the godfather of Afrofuturism. I wonder if he ever, heard of George Clinton when Clinton came along.
Right. It's not like they really refer to each other.
Yeah.
Or even me, like I refer to all these artists, right? Like I know them. I don't, like I don't. But I refer to them, like I reference them, and they're so important to me, and they'll never even know. Like, and that just goes, that's why everyone has to do their own thing.
Yes, absolutely. Let's listen to the filmmaker John Akomfrah as he discusses kind of his
dialectic,
way that he, how he does his own thing in terms of cataloging and research.
The thing that, in a way, I've spoken a lot about is how much the archive is this sort of memory bank, which connects it to questions of mortality. Usually, most archives, you can't watch stuff without realizing that it's also watching people who've gone. That recognition is on its own not very much unless it's married with a second recognition, which is that the image is one of the ways in which immortality is enshrined in our psyche and in our lives, and documentaries do that. You make a documentary because you want to both capture something that's going to die, quote unquote, unless it's captured, but you're also trying to capture something because you want it to live.
Let's just stop right there. Let's stop right there. Can you imagine, Angel? And this is also the technology of recording music itself. We would not know about, the experience of blues, jazz, hip hop. There would be no Sun Ra would not, the Sun Ra lives on through that technology. Sun Ra lives on, all these artists, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Mary Lou Williams, Stuff Smith, you know, Robert Johnson, Mahalia Jackson, you know, that's technology. It's Black technology.
Yeah,
And
like I love that when he said that in the film, that Black technology, because that's exactly what it is. Because it's like nobody, or you know, a lot of people don't look at what Black people do as a technology. Like people automatically think technology is, oh, I'm plugging it in, or you know, all this man-made stuff. But there's a sonic technology that Black people do.
absolutely, absolutely, and it you know, and it you know we you know, we've had, like I said, we've had some conversations prior to this talk, and one of the things that you brought up to Oscar and I, you know, when we were, you know, sort of discussing the film, and we're, you know, when Edward George says, you know, in the clip that we watched here, that, you know, the blues begot jazz, the blues begot you know, rock, the blues begat hip hop, and so forth. You mentioned that there was no recognition, you know, in this film at least, of gospel, of the spirituals.
Spirituals. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because that, you know, now fast forward 6 years later, I'm like, oh, they're missing a very key ingredient. Okay, because and I reference another film, an older film called The Cry of Jazz. In that film, in The Cry of Jazz, he says the spirituals came first, and then the blues, and then everything else. And that's a missing, but I'm not faulting them. Like that's one only.
Oh, sure. I think it's just important that we talk.
No, the reason why, and I want to say it's because of their lineage. You know what I mean? Like this group, the Black Audio Collective group, they were found in Britain, and so the part of the diaspora they are in, they're coming from Ghana, they're coming from you know, the Caribbean,
right?
But those of us who were over here in this diaspora, there's a secret ingredient called the spirituals that we have. That was birthed here. This isn't like a superiority thing. This is just so that people have a frame of reference that this Black music that everybody loved, it like hip hop and all that, that came from the spirituals, which were what our ancestors wasn't just, oh, that's getting us out of, you know, to go get free up north. No, we weren't just talking about north, like a physical place. We were talking about another space. Another space. Which, I mean, we should watch This Space Is the Place.
Oh yeah.
Since I think it'll help.
That's a good segue. That's a good segue.
Trying to bring people to another space.
Yes. And then we can continue that discussion, because this is a wonderful clip. Take it away, Oscar.
It's not worth it at all. All right, take it over, fellas. Yeah. It's all right.
Greetings, Black youth, planet Earth.
What it is.
I am Sun Ra, ambassador from the intergalactic regions of the Council of Outer Space.
Why are your shoes so big?
Are those moon shoes? How do we know you for real? Yeah, how do we know you ain't somebody off Telegraph Street, some old hippie or something?
Where are you? I mean, we don't know that.
She for real?
He might have something going for him.
Yeah, we sure
Well, what kind of shoes is that you got on your feet?
Yeah, walking around all these funny clothes. Shoot, I know I'd probably take off running. I seen somebody walking down the street coming, talking all that mess to me, talking about going to outer space.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, what it is. That's what it is. What it is.
That's my television. We don't know what you are.
How do you know I'm real?
Yeah.
I'm not real. I'm just like you. You don't exist in this society. If you did, your people wouldn't be seeking equal rights. You're not real. If you were, you'd have some status among the nations of the world. So we're both myths. I do not come to you as a reality. I come to you as the myth, because that's what Black people are, myths. I came from a dream that the Black man dreamed long ago. I'm actually a present sent to you by your ancestors. I'm gonna be here till I pick out certain one of you take back with me.
What if we won't come? You gonna make us come?
Then I'm gonna have to do you like they did you in Africa. Chain you up, take you with me.
Are there any whiteys up there?
They're walking there today.
That's right. Right.
They take frequent trips to the moon. I notice none of you have been invited. How do you think you're going to exist? The year 2000 is right around the corner.
What's that crystal thing in your hand?
Yes.
Yeah.
All hell.
That's
All
like my
hell.
favorite thing from the movie.
All hell, the mayor of Brainville.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Mythology is so
Yes,
important.
and that, you know, that is our way, particularly as African Americans, in this post-slavery continuum, that we are able to reconfigure, redesign, and reboot our futures, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's all the information, because people can get caught up in, well, do you believe this or do you believe that, da, 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 da. But really, we don't know our past. It was stripped from us. So we have to create whatever we want. And yeah, I can create, like Summer, I was like, yes, I can create a past of like, this is not my home. I'm from Saturn and y'all coming with me. And who's going to stop me? You know, that's the power of mythology. We can create whatever we want. Maybe somebody be like, well, that's lying to yourself. I mean, this is beyond morals and right or wrong and good or bad. It's been beyond that.
Look,
this is what it is. We are in this. We have all these information and pieces, just like floating particles.
Yeah.
What are we gonna make with it?
No one denied Martin Luther King when he said, "I've seen the mountaintop." But that in itself was, you know, in the same vein of looking beyond, you know, considering an alternative space, alternative experience,
and really doing it. I think what's really happened is that people think this is make believe, and they don't take it seriously. But no, let's take make believing seriously. Make beliefs, make beliefs, and what we have made, the beliefs that we have made right now, this is not working. It's definitely not working for Black people. It wasn't working for Black people when Sun Ra said it. It wasn't working for Black people when Harriet Tubman said it. It ain't been working for Black people for a very long time.
Hey, look, back to Prince. What did he do? He
I'm
changed.
sick of it.
Remember when Prince he became the symbol? He wrote slave on the side of his face.
You know, and then the myth and the lore of Prince is that he was killed for that. Like in the Black community, if y'all don't know, if you're not Black, but in our community, most of us in some ways believe that anybody who's significant to us, whether it's a celebrity or whatever, that in some way that person was off because they were Black. Let me tell you, that is just how we think. And don't look at it as like we're trying to be victims. Look at it as like, no, it's like PTSD. Anytime something bad happens to us, it triggers us into thinking that was done because of our skin color. And you know, whenever we say something about it, y'all got a tendency, white people got a tendency to act really uncomfortable about it. And I'm sick of that, because like, you know what? The reason why we act like that is valid. It makes sense that I would think that, you know what I mean? It makes sense that like, okay, y'all gonna have this whole science fiction thing and like, what happened to Black people? So y'all gonna tell us our future, because that's what, you know, most people think science fiction is, and you just gonna like leave out us, then why are we here? You know, and that's the thing about like, are we trying to get in to what they're into, or are we trying to get out? And my whole thing is like, if you gonna let me in, I'm going to destroy it. I don't like this. I'm going to destroy it. And you know what? If I'm uncomfortable, all of you guys are going to be uncomfortable. We're going to be uncomfortable together. We're going to be uncomfortable together. Yes, we are, until we get this right, you know, because it's still not right.
It's not right. And that's, you know,
still not right.
Where we are today in this day and age, you know, the insistence of, you know, ensuring that white Americans, you know, remove the veil of denial, you know?
It's the elephant in the room. It's always there. If you don't know, we secretly are in the back of our head, like wondering, I wonder if they're going to treat me bad because I'm Black. It runs through our head every single day.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to keep on telling you.
And that's,
I'm going to let you know that that's running. Is there a solution? This ain't about no solutions. This is about telling you what's happening. Okay?
The Oracle has spoken.
What's happening. This is what this movie's about. This is what is happening.
Yeah. And I highly encourage folks to watch this film. In the film, speaking of which, Angel, there's a clip where they're talking with the astronaut, Dr. Bernard Harris, and he's, sort of talking about the suppression of our reality. And he brings up how Michelle Nichols, the famed actress from Star Trek, in the I think in the 80s, in the early 80s, up until the mid 90s, she was brought on by NASA to promote space, the space program. And not only was she brought in to do just that, she also made a point to recruit women and men and women of color.
Doesn't that infuriate
to be a part of
you?
the space program.
I just feel like it infuriates me that they have to like go through great lengths to include people. Like, what is wrong with you? It shouldn't be like that. Like,
here's what she said. Here's what she said in the clip. That she says that she walked into NASA and she looked around in the main headquarters, and she saw a multitude of diversity, men and women of all colors, scientists, administrators, secretaries, photographers, maintenance engineers, all of different creeds and colors. It's like, why does the American public not know about this? And that is the suppression of our reality. That there's this ongoing, narrative, this fictitious narrative, creating this void.
Weird, strange world.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're putting up with it.
Oscar, I know we're getting, Angel, you and I, we're not even barely getting started here. You and I could talk for at least 2 hours. I want to play this clip real quick of Jimi Hendrix, because I think this is kind of appropriate, where he's, it's a clip it's kind of a sped up clip, audio clip from his famed song from his debut album, Are You Experienced? He was definitely into science fiction and space travel. It's safe to say that Sun Ra was a big influence on him. And this is the song Third Stone from the Sun. Let's hear what Hendrix has to say real quickly here.
Please give your position. Over.
I am in orbit around the third planet of the star known as Sun. Over.
May this be Earth. Over.
Positive, it is known to have some form of intelligent species. Over.
I think we should take a look.
Okay, you can stop it there, Oscar. Just a little clip. Yeah, that's great. And that's, Hendrix for me was such an important figure in my life.
Me too.
Gosh. And he was, he had his own ideology. He was a futurist, and he, against all odds, even being ostracized by the Black community in some cases, pushed through and attempted to kind of create this interesting musical subversion of sort of reclaiming rock, I grew up, most people grew up and probably still do think that rock and roll was not a Black invention. The American experience through music is essentially the Black experience. And if we could wrap our heads around that as human beings, I just, it saddens me when I think about how far we've gone and how little we've been able to kind of achieve because of this denial.
I think we've achieved very little in this realm, and I don't want to achieve much in this realm. This realm sucks. I don't like this white realm. But we always have achieved.
Yeah.
Like the fact
overachieved, actually.
More than, like one of my favorite Hendrix quotes is he said what he would do is he would use his music to hypnotize a whole crowd. And then once you have them hypnotized, you can suggest whatever you want into their subconsciousness. Yes. And that he did.
Yeah.
And I always think about that whenever I perform, because I'm like, oh, Hendrix is giving us permission to manipulate your mind. And we will. That is what that was. That is technology.
Yeah.
Call it mind control, call it hypnosis, whatever. But he knew. Yeah. And, like I said, with Black folk in our mythology and in our legend and our lore, probably think they probably killed him because of that too. See, with mythology, you can just, make believe, make a whole thing up. You know what I mean? And then that's what it is. That is what essentially a lot of these artists like Parliament, they were building a whole nother myth.
Yes.
Sun Ra, they were building a whole nother thing, and you can't put it in a book and you can't prove whether it's right or wrong or true or false.
Right.
It is what it is. We're going to continue to say this,
Yeah. I was watching watched the film again earlier today just to kind of take it all in. And I like what, I think it was Greg Tate that was, kind of talking about how there's been this the idea that science fiction is it was actually it was actually Samuel Delany, the science fiction.
Yes.
And he was talking about how science fiction is really not something of the future for Black people in particular. It is now. It is the experience. And really most science fiction readers, Black or not, are not really necessarily writing about the future. They're basically, attempting to address what life looks and feels like outside of the constraints of our own sort of like existence. And the social reality in science fiction, essentially is an optical illusion, is what he said. I know that we're running short on time. Can we watch this clip real quick just for fun? The mothership landing. And this is George Clinton, P-Funk, pure funk, funkadelic.
Pure funk, uncut.
That was so.
What it is? What it is? Yeah, we gonna party tonight, y'all.
Hell yeah.
I got the bomb. The peace bomb. What's happening, y'all?
Yeah, that's cool.
Y'all ready to turn the fuck out?
That is
hey, go
good.
machine.
Yeah.
I saw a really fantastic interview with George Clinton.
Yeah, Dr. Funkenstein here.
Yes. I saw.
Yes.
He was the man. He was the man. And actually, let's look at a couple of things that Clinton was using. Because I remember growing up seeing all those P-Funk album covers, all that artwork. The mythology behind it.
It was
you could just sit there for hours trying to figure it all out.
Right.
And George Clinton, in this interview that I saw with here, that was based here, it was a virtual interview with the museum director Franklin Sermons of the Perez Art Museum. They were talking with George Clinton while he was in his art studio, and he was just talking, candidly about how the artist behind all those those album covers was initially a fan of the band, obviously, and he would send him like letters, like fan letters, and on those letters was all this
crazy artwork,
all this was just wild, like like he just sort of like covered the entire envelope with just crazy mythological artwork, and they became good friends, and the guy started to do all the work for that, but also I didn't realize that there was a comic series that P-Funk that Funkadelic put out. Can you bring that up, Oscar, the cover of that comic? I wonder how many there are.
I want that.
No? That's a great one right there.
Right there. What?
Yeah, right there.
I
Go back real quick.
I totally want that
comic.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Probably a whole lot of money.
Love that. That's such a great album right there.
Yes, it is.
He's on the ship right there, and he's cloning actually.
He's cloning, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then let's look at that those comics, Oscar. Yeah.
I want that.
It's
probably like so much money, I bet. That Dr. Funkenstein comic.
And I wonder how many there were, but again,
I need that.
And I wanted to juxtapose this with the ideology of David Bowie, who also was an influence on Clinton to some degree. Actually, no, he mentions that.
I ain't gonna lie, I love Bowie.
Absolutely.
I don't think like if you were listening to Parliament and Funkadelic and all those things, you are also probably listening to the white counterparts.
Yes.
Okay. And I would definitely say, I was definitely attracted to Bowie's music. I went through like a 5-year period where it was like the only thing I listened to, and because he went out.
Yeah.
He was like, let's go somewhere else,
Yeah. And the white community, white listeners, supported that ideology in the same way that Black people are supporting the ideology of Sun Ra, of Lee Scratch Perry, of
Well, there was a humility too that I saw with David Bowie that I didn't see from a lot of artists. Like when MTV came out, I saw an interview, and basically he was checking them like, y'all don't think about Black listeners at all. Like he was going hard on them. You know what I mean? Because I think he always admitted that his music came from Black people. He always talked about that. Luther Vandross, I think, was one of his. He discovered Luther Vandross or something.
Look,
he was always like about Black people.
And that's why I was a big fan of Janis Joplin, Bob Dylan. They too were the same. Anytime they were interviewed, they talk adamantly about their
Janis. I don't know. She said that stuff about I think she said the N-word a couple times.
Did she?
Yeah, she was on some bull.
Well, she was also going through a lot. I'm gonna forgive her for that one. She was young, but in terms of what the positive things that I've seen her do in clips, when she's on Dick Cavett's show and Dick Cavett is asking her who her influences are, she spoke specifically about Black women, and that
watch that kid. Some of these, it's just like this. I'm real. Look, here's the thing. I'm gonna keep it real honest.
Yeah.
The relationship between whites and Black is not good. Don't act like it's
correct.
gotten better. It ain't good.
It
All
ain't
right.
good.
And it's showing, like, we're trying to show you through these
Right.
art forms
Right.
that this is the reason why we have to have movies like The Last Angel of History, is so that this is what we are thinking.
Yes.
And we're thinking of ourselves without you in mind. And for whatever reason, see, like, this movie should be common knowledge. Why did it take me, like, I'm in my 30s the first time I seen The Last Angel of History? And it's an important Black film.
Yes.
With important concepts. You know, like, what if I got a hold of that film, I don't know, early? Like, I'm the way I am because my dad showed me Spaces and Place when I was like 13.
That's amazing.
Now look at me now. After watching that movie, look at me now. Now, why isn't that common knowledge? And that's really, you know, the thing that we have to continually talk about right now. Like, let's stop the bull. This stuff ain't right. You know, I'm really tired of the fact that I have to go outside and have to worry about me getting sick or getting somebody else sick. And I know that all of these is a result of some bull that we are not fixing. You know, an internal thing. You know, so like these art forms, our music, whatever platform we have, we need to be talking about this. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I think we have Oscar here that's gonna look at the time.
Yes, so Angel Carter, thank you so much. I know we're only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
If this was a podcast series, I would already be subscribed. I'm here for it. But I do want to give a few minutes for some of the audience questions if you have some time now. So with that, let's take a look at what's been submitted so far. So question for Angel. Have you found techno fossils? And if so, how have they informed your work?
Absolutely. I am definitely techno. I found so many, and I find them in vinyl records. So I have quite an extensive vinyl collection. Carter had mentioned earlier about records and this, the record company. We have to look at the word itself, record. Let's not think about Hollywood. It's keeping a record, like an archive. So archiving is super important to me. I archive through books. I archive through music. I archive through literature. Like, I definitely want that comic book. I definitely want that Parliament comic book. I have to have it as part of the puzzle pieces. So yeah. And mostly, and I'm researching Blackness, which I always want to reiterate is like Blackness. I'm not talking about it on a physical level. I'm talking about it. What is that essence that makes, why is it that when, okay, you take a genre like science fiction and a Black person does it, it turns into something else? What chemical thing happened that made, okay, Black people do start doing science fiction. They flying out of spaceships, coming out with platform shoes, and it's just the most amazing, incredible music you've ever heard in your life. What is that? You know, and the only way that I can really get it is I have to isolate it. You know, I have to isolate myself from white culture. And it's very challenging to do. It's challenging for a Black person to try to isolate themselves from white culture. And that's why we have to get all these little fragments, you know, from the vinyl records, from all of that. So my collection is very curated. Like, I only have records from Black artists because I'm trying to isolate what Blackness is. Any other questions?
Yes, thank you for that, Angel. Let's see, we have time maybe for one more question. So this is from Lou Fuki. As an artist of color.
Okay, that's my homie. Yay.
So Lou mentions, as an artist of color, they feel it's very important to create art that is timeless, that would put us in a place in the future. Because white supremacy, or just those who control the resources in general, write and create the future, excluding the inevitable fact that the future is color. What are your thoughts on that? And it's a question for either of you.
I think I love the Fugi. He's also an amazing musician too. Amazing, incredible musician. We're on the same, we have these discussions often. You know, this journey being a Black artist, it's something. And I feel like now is the time just to always talk about it. You know, I feel like it's always getting, you know, tucked under the rug, you know, when we talk about these things. Stop talking about it, y'all. Get over it, you know? And it's just like, no, I'm not going to get over it. Nope. I'm not. I'm going to take my time and process everything that I have to go being born into this situation. This situation sucks for Black people. It always has. It don't work. It doesn't work. So, you know, maneuvering in that, I think I'm so grateful for all the people who have maneuvered in that and have brought us wonderful films like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was them maneuvering in that, trying to figure it out. You know, the data thief, like that idea of just, I'm collecting information so that I can figure it out. I'm the only one who can figure it out. Black people, we're the only one who can figure it out. And we don't need your help. We don't need anybody's help. Do you know how hard it is to wake up every day in this? This is hard. Every day I got to adjust my mind to do something that's completely foreign to me and try to make myself fit in. I want out. That's why the free jazz, because you can't quantify that. You can't define it. Nope. You can't write in a book, and you can't teach it at your university. And guess what? You can't play it either. You can't play it. Because in order for you to play it, you have to have be born in this. Some of this stuff is taught to us by our mama just singing a little lick. My friend last night, he told me, he's Mexican. He told me he went to the grocery store and he heard a woman in the other aisle. She was speaking in a Nigerian tongue. And he literally heard the way she was speaking a Coltrane lick. And he ran up to her and he's like, what language are you speaking? And she was like, go away, young man. Because he's like, Angel, it was literally the inflection of it. It was a John Coltrane lick. And this is a Mexican brother. So I'm trying to tell you that this music and this art form that we do is not entertainment. It's not to be sold. It's not to be discredited. It's not being valid. This is our only thing. Black people in America, we got stripped of everything. We got stripped of culture, language, everything. And there's always been this thing of people wanting to take our art form and enjoy that, but they don't want to include this narrative. Guess what? You're going to have to include it, period, always. And if I don't demand it, I'm going to demand it. I'm not going to sit around and act like, no. If you want to talk about jazz, then you got to talk about this. You know? If you want to play funk, you got to talk about this. You know? You want to put us and all this, and take our clothes and body stuff, then you're going to have to talk about this too. You know? And so, like, I just feel like as Black artists, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but as Black artists, we need to be in more of a place of like, it's time for us just to make everybody uncomfortable. That don't mean I got to burn your thing down, but it just means that when I'm uncomfortable in a situation, I'm feeling uncomfortable because I'm the only Black person in a white space, I'm going to say it. Every time. Until we get this right.
And and if you are Angel, you and I, this will continue for you and I. But for those that don't know Angel, that are maybe just being introduced to Angel, who for me is absolutely an oracle, you need to listen to her music if you want to really truly understand her experience, our experience. Listen to the new album that she just released on International Anthem, one of my favorite labels right now. The Chicago scene for me is the equivalent to, it's the American equivalent to London in terms of just a fervent ground for creativity. Angel is a part of that, and she's continuing that great legacy. She has this fantastic album that came out in October. And it's basically, the album's called The Brotherhood, and it is from a live concert in Berlin. Can you talk just a little bit about that real quickly?
Yeah, so I had my first tour. You know, I came on my album last year, and like 9 months later, I was on tour in Europe. It was really like the Wizard of Oz. I was so ecstatic and happy. And, you know, unfortunately on the way there, one of my bandmates, he got sick and he missed his flight. And so, you know, that was a hassle. We got it all straightened out. But when we got to my first show, which was the Berlin show, you know, my tour manager hit them up and said, hey, one of our members got sick. He may be late or he may not show up at all. And their response was so cold. Their response was, why didn't you tell us? You should have told us sooner. Oh, we're going to take this from your fee. Da, da, da. Now, look, once again, I tried to tell y'all earlier that when an injustice is done to somebody of color, y'all need to know this, that one of the first things we gonna think is like, are they doing this because I'm Black? Yeah. And you know what? I'm probably right. or I may be wrong. I don't care. I triggered into that because historically, the context of how they treat artists of color has been that when they come somewhere, you treat them like crap. You want their music, but you treat them like crap. You can't even say, oh, I'm sorry that your bandmate. You can't even say that, but you want me to perform and you want to take it from my fee. And then you know the historical context of how Black artists been treated. You weren't thinking. And that's unacceptable. So by the time I was sitting there, it was 2 hours before the show. And me and my bandmates, these are my best friends. The Brotherhood, these are my best friends. We're on tour. We're so excited. And I have to come in and deal with that. By the time I got on stage, I was livid. By the time I was just like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to let this all out. I always tell people, if you're an artist and you are going through something, the best place to let it out is on stage. It's to let it out into your artwork, to let it out in your music, write a book, go on stage. And I really used it. And I knew it was controversial, but I didn't care because I was like, no, you're not going to do this. What I just went through ain't nothing compared to what Nina Simone went through, compared to Duke Ellington. No, I just kept on thinking about all those people in the past who going through when this is just me getting a little something, And I'm thinking about them like being gypped of money, and I'm thinking about all that stuff if I'm sitting in my hotel room. And I'm like, this is unacceptable that this is what they had to go through, So by the time I was on stage, it just was like,
It shows. It shows. Like I listened to the album today. It's the first composition is Enlightenment, and it's unapologetic right away, and that is the Black experience. For me, Angel, that album touched places in my heart and my spirit that I know that there was just complete truth. And if you want to know and have an idea of the Black experience, the truth of the Black experience, explore that sonic exploration that's in this album. It is an incredible documentation of a tragic experience, one that Black people in this country continue to grow flowers out of somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like the best way I can explain it to people who are not Black, if you're not Black, I'm having this conversation so that we can so that we don't stay in a place of I don't like you. I'm having this conversation so that we can come to a place where you can understand. Okay, it's like PTSD. All right, people who got PTSD. Well, we have post-traumatic slave disorder. Okay, which means that sometimes we're gonna wild out because we don't really know what we're feeling, but it's triggering stuff. You know what I mean? And you have to be aware of that with Black people. You have to be more conscious of that. Not in an ungenuine way, but like, you know what, you gotta have to tiptoe around us. But a lot of y'all are not humble enough to do that because you think it ain't got nothing to do with you. And that's okay. But guess what? I'm gonna tell you, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna continue to tell you because that's the only way that we can heal. I'm not gonna be that kind of friend to you. Where I'm not going to tell you, I'm uncomfortable being in this white space right now. And I really don't know how to tell you, but I'm uncomfortable. And I don't know why. We had the conversation, like during this time when we were preparing for this, y'all, something happened to me where I went off on 2 white people that I just met. I went off on them. And I came home and I had to deal with that. I was like, well, what happened? Because I definitely was feeling something. And I didn't off my feelings like, Angel, you're being over. No. I sat there and honored my feelings. I was like, Angel, what's going on? And I had to dig deeper and I dig deeper. I was like, oh, they were making me feel like and Carter, I thank you for the reference that you told me, about like this pygmy who was, taken from Africa and he was put into the New York Zoo and right next to the monkey. And there's people strolling with their children, having a wonderful day, gawking at this human. And I was like, that's how I felt.
At the Brooklyn Zoo. At the Brooklyn Zoo,
y'all. And your ancestors did that. They didn't think there was nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? In fact, there's people who are alive today who, if they're in their 80s and 90s and stuff like that, they lived in that culture for a very long time. Where there was nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So like, this is just a lot to dissect. So I'm just supposed to get over that. I'm just supposed to, it'd be one thing if things were going right for us, but no, things are in the same condition. So that makes it even worse. That's why I always say this is hell. We live in hell. This is hell for Black people.
If you get a chance, for the viewers out there, if you have not, a great opportunity to really delve further into the Black experience here, the horror of the Black experience in America, watch Lovecraft Country. I highly recommend that.
Everybody keeps talking about it.
It's a fantastic exploration into science fiction, the juxtaposition of H.P. Lovecraft, who was a known racist. And it was Lovecraft Country is based on a book that later was adapted by Misha Green, and it has a fantastic cast. It is explosive. It was one of the best series that I've seen in a long time. If you want to better understand the American Black experience, at least just a starter kit, if you will, watch Lovecraft Country. And I know I'm not getting paid by HBO to say
Everyone keeps telling me about it. You're like the sixth person, like, Angel, need to watch it. I'm like, okay, yeah. I do.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
And also read, books by Octavia Butler, particularly the Earthseed series, which is Parable of Sorrow. And what was the other one? What is it? I got it right here. Sorry. Parable of Sorrow and Parable of the Talents.
Yes.
Two fantastic books by Octavia Butler. And then also
one person that an unlikely person. I'd like to add Dr. Yusef Lateef.
Oh.
Dr. Yusef Lateef has a science fiction book.
What?
Called Love Secret. What is it called? Oh my gosh, I have it too. Yeah, it's called Love in the Secret Garden. Hold on. Go ahead and keep talking.
Okay. Well, also Samuel R. Delaney, who's in the film. They talk, he's known for his 1975 book called Dahlgren. And that's also a really great introduction to, Afrofuturism. Angel, you?
Night in the Garden of Love.
Night in the Garden of Love.
By Yusef Lateef, yeah.
So I know we're running out of time, Oscar, but Angel has had that book of poetry by Sunrise.
Oh, yeah.
Can you read, just maybe find something and leave us with that?
And wrap up, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, one last note. Let's see, where are we flipped open to? Okay. The Empty Space, 1972. The airy heaven is in the empty space. The division of heaven is inner and outer. The limited heaven is the inner. The outer heaven is endless heaven realm. The third heaven of the heavens is called earth. It is the heaven number 3. The earth is the beginning. It is the foundation of itself. It is an O, or an O, which is the alpha omega of the material plane. Yet every planet is an O. But Earth is AO number 3, or the third O from the sun. The inner air from another plane is like the counterpoint to a central theme. The enclosed vibration limitation repeats itself over and over. It is a cycle, an eternity never changing. The outer spirals move brilliantly with word precision, yet varying, ever outward and ever onward on.
Yes. Angel, I love you. I can't wait. I can't wait for us to share actual space. It's been a real pleasure. I thank you from the bottom of my heart to being involved in this. Oscar, thank you so much for reaching out.
Yes,
and I'd like to thank the staff at Wolfsonian for being open to this platform. It's been very enlightening for me and an opportunity for me to delve into, areas of interest, film, music, art. The Wolfsonian has a fantastic collection, and I look forward to when things get, eventually, get back to some form of normality, whenever that may be. I look forward to, checking out the collection again. It's been a long time.
Me too. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Well, Angel, Lawrence, thank you for being our guides this evening. Just giving us a little bit more behind the film, the zeitgeist that it's really kind of tapping into, and just this relationship that cuts across time and space.
Yeah.
There's so many references, and so I'm sure our audience has a lot to kind of look into following from this. Angel, your work included, so thank you for sharing with us. And so everyone here tonight, thank you for being here. For more information on upcoming events, feel free to check out our website. And with that, wishing everyone a great night. Take care.
Bye.
That's for you, Angel.
Hey.
We'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.